which y'all see, and how KUC strategically moves us in a direction in the word where we can see what he sees.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Safe travels. Appreciate it.
You know, one thing that I came across, and in my mind.
Good morning. Good morning. We're just covering the
and
last two.
Exodus 33, Exodus 33:11, where it says the Lord would speak to Moses face to face as one speaks to his friend. Then Moses would return to the camp. But his young aide Joshua, son of Nun, did not leave the tent. They prayed together. Nobody else was allowed in that tent. It was just he and Moses. And it's interesting that Joshua was learning from Moses and would eventually be named the leader by God.
Excellent. Good stuff, Brother Wayne. That's actually one of our reference texts. I usually cover that first, but with you guys, we went to Elijah and Elisha example. So that's and that's a very important highlight. I think it's probably the most underrated passage in the Bible. Like, I don't think we pay attention to that enough, you know, in our normal readings. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. I think the example is also for me, I look at Joshua, so it's like being like, right, doing what the rabbi does. I look at Joshua seeing and watching Moses' relationship with God, and his desire to be with God grew to the point where Moses had other responsibilities, so he left the tent. But Joshua was like, hey, this was the goal. Like, I like being with you, Moses, but I got an opportunity to spend a little bit more time with God. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna remain behind. Me and God gonna get to know each other. So yeah. Good stuff. All right. Anybody else? Any other reflection?
Okay, so anybody had mentioned, I joined a little bit late, but anybody mentioned like Paul and Timothy or Paul and Titus?
Not yet. So yeah. And of course, with Paul being, this expert in Torah, or he was on his way to become an expert, but we see that he actually achieved his expertise because of the epistles he wrote. Man, I just would assume that Paul understood this perspective of Elijah and Elisha and Moses and Joshua. I just, would assume that, he was very understood about what was going on with these saves is what he would call them. But yeah. So, yeah. And we're going to dive into some of the New Testament examples with Paul, but I just think it's very interesting as our goal is to glimpse into the origin of it all. Like, how did all of this begin? So let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2 again. And then we're going to keep moving back. 2 Kings chapter 2. Will, did I give out homework?
Yeah, we had some homework. We had to, like you just already opened it up with us reading those. I forgot the verses and coming back how we find the example in the Bible or what you just saying right now. How the with me time that we see in the Bible.
Right.
That was basically it.
Hey, I'll say
Yeah.
something piggybacking kind of off of what Will said a while ago. Um, I had my grandson. He's only 4 years old, and this might have even been when he was 3, but I think he had just turned 4. And I had him. We were up at our cafe, and some of the guys was just messing with him. Tell your papa ought to get this. Tell your papa ought to get that. He got all the money, and we was just laughing and cutting up. I wasn't thinking nothing about it. I said, Papa ain't got no money. And 2 weeks later, my daughter called me and said, she said, "Hey, did you tell Maddox you didn't have no money?" I said, I don't know. I don't remember. He said, "We were just going down the road and he just blurted out in the back seat of the car that Papa didn't have no money." And I started thinking about it, and I said, yeah, we did. I did say that, and so I was thinking, man, what if we spoke spiritual truths and Bible in a way that they would remember it like that? You know what I mean? And but you can't never tell what they're going to remember. But the more we speak those things around them, even though we think they ain't listening, them kids are listening, man, and they're soaking in like a sponge things that we're saying and the things that we're doing. And what if we spoke, some Bible truth into them and something that they would just never forget and something that they would repeat like that? Um, I thought that was cool, man, and that's what it made me think. You know what I mean? I need to spend more time uh, talking stuff that really matters around them. Even though they're kids, uh, they listening.
Yeah. 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 You know what
Well,
I
oh, go ahead,
go
Kate.
ahead. No, you go
Well,
ahead.
well, what I was saying is, all that's what you just said, and when I was talking about all Christians that come into the body of Christ, when they first come in, they come in as babes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they need someone to educate them or carry them along and teach them. That's one of the mistakes that they make in the Christian community today. Somebody accept Jesus, and then they just say that's it. You don't know how to walk. First of all, you got to even crawl in Christ, right?
Yeah.
Because now, as I've been beginning to learn and everything and following the relationship that Kay used to have with God, right? And now my relationship is getting stronger with God because of his example. So I came into this thing as a babe and I had to crawl. I didn't want to crawl, but you have to start there. So whatever you say to a child, if you would have told the child that, hey, whatever, there's something bad or whatever, the child gonna remember. The same thing with baby Christian. Anybody that come into this group right now, we are mature. I will say that. We are mature in this disciple making thing. But everybody don't know about it. And everybody ain't trying to do it. Right? And then that's why it's so important that we fund, I hate to keep bringing it up, but we have to fund KE's mission to go around the world and take this gospel. And I'm just praying to God that we get all the funds that he needs to continue that, you know. And so, because it's very important, like you just said, people around the world don't know nothing about this. KUC is building I don't know what to say how it is, but he connecting to things, and I just want to be so much a part of it, right? So we
Hey,
have
Usually,
to.
when you leaving again to go somewhere?
Uh, Probably gonna be the end of December. I'm going back and forth with my folks now, but Still nailing down the dates, but it looks like it's going to be towards the end of December. So yeah.
And before we get off that something, what you're saying, I want to make a comment about what Bradley said and what Will said, if you don't mind there. Okay, I was watching a video. Yes, I'm in the education field, and they show us a video of this guy. He was taught who been riding a bike for a long time. So there was an engineer who made this bike, uh, regular bicycle, basically. So when you turn to the left, you go right, and when you try to go to the right, you turn left. And it took him. I'm sorry.
I've seen that. I've seen that. That bike.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I've
And
seen
so
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it took him over, I think over a year or so, a long time to learn or to relearn what he was already taught. And so he taught it to his son. It took his son, who had probably had been riding a bike a couple of years or so, it took his son 2 weeks to learn that bike or to maneuver that bike. And what they were saying is that when you get to a certain age, it's hard to unlearn what you already learned. And so what I got from that is when you are a babe or a little one, you can catch on things so much faster. And the same thing in the body of Christ. And I thought about this group when I was listening to that and watching that video.
Boy, that's good. You know, Cornelius, that's really good, because you can see it not only in yourself, but gosh, some of us, a lot of us get to a point where we stop learning because we don't want to. And, I think old Jim Downing, who I met at age 96, that dude never stopped learning. And boy, I think then you stop being a disciple, don't you? A disciple is a learner.
Yes.
And so when you get to the point where you're closed off, you don't want new learning. That's really problematic.
But the thing is, it seems like everything we just discussed and said, this is, Kay used to have taught us in the past, he used those same words, that we got to unlearn what we have learned. I mean, it's not a coincidence that everything that we discussing, our rabbi had already said it before in the past, in some way or form or shape, and it's just that he come back. I don't know how he had to remember it to come back, but he come back and he'll bring it up. And we said, God dog, man, I learned that 3 years ago. And Kay used to still and bring it back up. And I said, oh, I got to go. So we can never stop learning with this guy. Because he always going to come back and tell us, okay, you remember I told you about this. That's why I say I love this group, because we continue to learn. But like I say, it's that the idea, I want to be a part of his mission trip. I reckon you would call those. What do you call those trips, Houston, when you go abroad?
Training trips.
What is it?
Training trips.
So it's a different from mission trip, right?
Well, it's mission, but we want to focus on the main thing. So we're going on mission to train. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I adopted that from Soup. Come on, Chris, and then Robert. I think that's the order it went up. Your hands went up.
So I was just gonna say real quick that what jumped out to me when some of the things we were just talking about was and going back to with me time, thinking about Paul and Gamaliel, because he was raised up in Gamaliel, so he spent a lot of with me time with him, but it was taking him in the wrong direction until Christ intervened with him.
That's right. Excellent. I think the model in that is, I think, Paul learned, he learned the spiritual truths but he also understood what God was wanting him to carry over, so to speak, because all of it started with the foundation of whatever we call the Old Testament or Tanakh. But when Christ, God introduced Christ to the world, it was a matter of choosing, to follow Christ versus all the other things the Judaism had consumed the nation of Israel with. And we'll look at it today, but another underestimated or underrated part of the Bible and Bible history is Paul's relationship with Barnabas. Man, they spent years, I want to say at least 10 plus years behind the scenes before Paul became who we know him to be. And that's underrated. We don't talk about what went on in that investment, in that pursuit, in Whitney time. We'll look at a couple of verses to highlight it today. But yeah. Come on, Robert.
Yeah, and before we got off of the child thing that Bradley started, I've last 3 or 4 years I've had almost daily time with 8 grandchildren, and my daughter finally told me, said Dad, that when you say something, they just take it as fact, and oftentimes they go home and they say, Grandfather said that's so, and that's the way it is, and she said they don't know if you're joking around or what's going on, and I said I remember somewhere it says we have to have faith as a child. And then I got to thinking, how can I have the kind of faith that them grandchildren have in me to where, one time I told somebody, I said, man, I wish I was back when I just believed God would do what he said he would do. And I didn't have to be wise and mature enough to understand that sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to go back to where I just believe God does what he says. Got to figure out where that child faith comes from. So it brought that back up.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Excellent. Good stuff. Yeah, we build that type of influence with adults. How often do we quote other adults as saying something and then we take it as fact moving forward? So, but that's that influential spirit of influence that we need to pay attention to. God gives us all. So yeah.
So that'll be spiritual reproduction. That's what you're saying, right?
But where does spiritual reproduction begin?
When we influence somehow.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm having trouble, Dr. Fred, with sharing my screen. I don't know, my Zoom updated on me this morning, so I think it's something in the update, but every time I try to share my screen, I get an error message. So if somebody else, Chris, are you able to share your screen? But if anybody else can share our passages as we travel through, please feel free to try. But let's go to 2 Kings chapter 2. We're going to read through this one more time, and then I have a question for the group, and we'll dive in. Okay, so I'm happy.
I see it now. See your screen.
Okay, now
that's Chris.
Yeah, that's Chris. Yeah. Let me move my stuff around a little bit today. Okay, good. Thanks, Chris. Probably have to enlarge it a little bit. We're gonna read chapter 2, verse 1 through 15. Right. So somebody will read verses 1 through 6.
Okay. I got to phrase 6. And it came about when the Lord was about to take up Elisha by a whirlwind to heaven, that Elisha went with Elisha from Gilgal. Elisha said to Elisha, "Stay here, please, for the Lord has sent me as far as Bethlehem." But Elisha said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they went down to Bethlehem. Then the sons of the prophet who was at Bethlehem came out to Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that the Lord will take away your master from over you today?" And he said, "Yes, I know. Be still." Elisha said to Elisha, "Please stay here, for the Lord has sent me to Jericho." But he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So they came to Jericho. The sons of the prophet who was in Jericho approached Elisha and said to him, "Do you know that the Lord will take away your master from over you today?" And he answered, "Yes, I know. Be still." Then Elisha said to him, "Please stay here, for the Lord has sent me to Jordan." And he said, "As the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you." So the two of them went on. That's 1 through 6.
Okay. All right. I'll ask the same question again in a moment. But what do we see as far as, what's standing out to you guys? What's happening behind the scenes? What do we see? And Robert, I'm gonna revisit your question from last week or statement. I've been looking at that. I've been wrestling with it. So yeah. What do we see standing out? Anybody?
But Elisha don't want to leave Elisha. You know,
Yeah.
he want to stay with him no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what we go through, no matter where you go, I'm gonna be with you.
Yeah.
It's the with me time that we've been discussing.
Yeah, that's what I see too. Will, just a absolute determination by the protege or disciple. I don't know how you would classify Elisha here, but his absolute determination to be with his model, his discipler, however you want to say it.
Yeah, good stuff. See, the reason why we don't necessarily see the terminology of disciple making yet is because most of the formal disciple making processes and things we see, like the different levels of school, most of those things were formalized after the exam.
Yeah.
But see God patterning these things, and that's what they learned. That's how they formalize it. They look back to these events and begin to take those examples. But this, to me, is an example of relentless pursuit. And the question is, what does it take to pursue? What does it take to pursue? What does it take to pursue?
I would say one of the things it takes to pursue is vision. You being able to see the one that you're pursuing what you desire to have.
One more time.
I say that what I would say with vision, because what you're desiring to have, you're pursuing, and your vision is to pursue that one that you C has what you want to have.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Anybody else?
Well, I go back to one of the early lessons that you taught us again. One of the lessons that you taught us when we first began was to pursue after the rabbi, like the old statement say, by what any means necessary. I don't care if you're going to Jericho, I'm going with you. I don't care if you're crossing the Jordan, I'm going with you. Let's just get that on the table. Whatever you doing, I'm going with you, no matter what it takes. Y'all could come to me and say whatever to this and that, I'm going with him. So I got to get with him. My life depends upon it. Put it that way. So that's one of the lessons that you taught us in the past.
I would say dedication and commitment.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, because a bulldog, when you give that bulldog that bone, and he latch on to it, he's not letting it go.
Yeah.
He's just not letting it go.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, let me throw this out. This is what I've learned, I'd say in the last 10 years or so. You never get to a point, an age where you don't need somebody that you're trying to be like. I thought, in my younger years, I thought by the time a dude is 40 or so, he's already been made. So the only thing he will do is make disciples that are below him, you might say, either in primarily age and learning and knowledge and that kind of thing. But that ain't the way it is. I remember Jim Downey here. He was 96, and he said, I can't find nobody to disciple me because it outlived everybody. But if there was one around, he'd have gone after him. So, and that's been so helpful for me. And one guy that I really was going to try to pursue just passed away, old Max Barnett, strong dude out in Oklahoma. But so y'all can pray for me.
You might have to get out there to dry prone.
Do what?
I said you might have to get out there to dry prone more often.
Yeah, I tell you what I do need to do. I need to get with Brother Dick down in, where's he live? And he's an impressive man. He's 87 years old and his house is just open. So, but I just want to make that point, Case, and I'm sorry I kind of lingered with it.
Oh, good stuff. No, good stuff. I'm taking notes. Anybody else? I'll share my notes in a moment. Good stuff. All right. Well, this is what we created, gentlemen. We created the character traits for pursuit. I have 5 so far. Somebody help me if I left out something and you remember it. But to be with, it takes a desire. So that's number 1. It doesn't happen without the desire. To pursue, to be with, it begins with a desire. All right.
What is it? The character traits of pursuit?
Yeah, the character traits of pursuit. All right, which is the essential component to be with. All right. So it takes a desire. All right. Nothing happens without a desire. All right. Number 2 is dedication. It takes dedication. Number 3, commitment. It takes commitment. Number 4 is determination. It takes determination. All right. And number 5, I added number 5, from what I see, is a refusal to be discouraged. Because there's many things that can discourage you along the way. So a refusal to be discouraged. All right.
Hey,
Somebody-
KUC,
Yes, sir.
you need to, number 3 and number 5, if you could make those begin with the word D, you'd have
Okay.
all Ds.
Okay. So we're gonna figure it out, or Dr. Fred gonna figure it out for you.
Yeah, he can figure that out. Or Robert Bice, either one of those two dudes.
All right,
Yeah.
Robert. Let me see. I'm rewriting these down.
It'd be the 5 Ds, right?
Yes. That'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be easier to remember. Right. If we could come up with the 5 Ds. Right. I don't know what you can change for commitment to start with a D, but I'll look it up too.
Yeah, it's something out there.
Mhm.
Hey, Casey,
Chris Clover, I have something. Just a second.
Go ahead,
how
Chris.
about instead of commitment, you put devotion, and instead of refusal to be discouraged, you put durability.
All
So
right.
it gives you desire, dedication, devotion, determination, and durability.
And durability?
Where's durability? Where's it going? What number, Chris?
I had
Wow.
where he said refusal to be discouraged, I put durability.
Man, that's
And committed
good.
is devoted.
Yeah,
Say what
commitment
now?
is like devotion.
Ooh.
Devoted.
Okay. Devotion.
So let's
Devoted.
use the word
That's what
devoted.
number 3? Can you
Let's
say that's
change-
number
With a
3?
D.
Yeah, I'll put it in the
Devoted.
chat.
Okay.
And okay.
Devoted with a D. Devoted.
Okay.
Man, you guys are good.
Man, this ain't this something, Jerry?
DEVOTED.
We steady
What y'all
learning.
say about number 5?
Durability.
Durability.
Boy, that nails it. That I love that.
See what we can do together.
Huh?
See what we can do together.
Yeah, we don't have no weak links. We don't allow weak links on this chain gang.
I kind of think we're all weak links.
No, we strong because we together.
Well, that we're strong because we're together, but we're all weak links.
We got to stay together and we become strong. I refuse to be weak, but I'm strong because of God. Put it that way, Jed.
If so, let the weak say they're strong.
That's right.
Don't forget, Will, in our weakness, Christ's strength is made perfect. So
Amen.
There you go. That's what I'm saying.
all right.
Ooh, I love this group. I was sleeping. Now I'm woke.
Good stuff, gentlemen. Excellent. So we got desire, dedication, devotedness, determination, devotion, and durability. Yeah, devotion it flows a little better. Devotion, determination, and durability. Refusal to be discouraged. All right, let's think on durability again. I like it, but it's getting us in the right direction.
Durable.
Durable.
Yeah, there you go. Durable.
All right. Durable, durability, durable. Desire, dedication, devotion, determination, durability, durable.
Yeah, durable.
We're working with it, but good stuff. Thanks, Judge, for the idea. All right, excellent. All right. So these are some character traits you should notice or possess. All right. And this is what Elisha is modeling. So let me revisit your statement. Come on, Robert, you were getting ready to say something.
Oh no, I was waiting to talk some more about my imagination. I was just sitting here thinking, why did he go to those 4 different places, and what was happening, and what would cause him to tell him to hold on? So I got a play in my mind, but I'll wait till you get to that part because it's still a imagination and
yeah.
My thought was, why was he saying to the other people, be still?
Yeah, there you go.
I got a theory about that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good statement. I hadn't pondered that part. I see it. Don't have a response to that.
Right off the top of my head, I'm thinking that wasn't it right before this, Elijah told Elisha, or somebody told him that if he saw his master taken up, that he would receive what he had? Or was it after this?
Thank you.
Before it, because Elijah told
Okay,
Elisha.
so
Yeah.
if it was before it, he was probably thinking, man, I got to keep all these people away, because if they see him go up too, they might get part of it and I won't get it all. Y'all stay here. I'm going to go with him. Don't move. Be still.
I
I
think
want to share what I'm supposed to be getting.
I think "be still" properly translated means shut up.
Yeah. Well, let me go.
Well,
let me go ahead.
it says to be an active, still, silent, used of keeping silence, do nothing, hence refraining, sitting still. So yeah, it does mean be silent, but it also means
shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, mine translation says be quiet. And my thinking would be, he's telling them, don't try to discourage me. You just speak. I know what I want to do. You be quiet. Don't try to discourage me.
Yeah.
And Bill, that's where my theory comes into action, because I got to wondering, why did he tell him to stay back? And my theory is that he was going to go talk to these people at Jericho, Bethel, Jordan, because he was visiting all the folks he'd been training, because he knew he's fixing to leave. And so he was kind of going to say goodbye. Here's my final words. Here's my remember this, remember that. And he didn't want Elisha tagging along, getting all depressed from all the talk about him leaving. So my theory is he was trying to protect Elisha by telling him to stay back. And Elisha said, nope, I don't want to be protected. I want to stick with you. So it builds a better picture than disobedience is what I first thought. But yet it was protection that Elijah was trying to give to Elisha, so he wouldn't have to hear all the goodbyes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What I've been looking at is did he refuse, or did he ignore instructions, or did he convince Elijah to agree with him? Because when I look at this, I've been pondering that thought, Rob, is Elisha told him to stay here, but Elisha says, as the Lord lives, and as you yourself live, I will not leave you.
Yeah.
And then immediately
when I was reading that, okay, when I realized he said, please, each of those times, please stay here, it really became a request and not a command, or not a, it's like you tell a kid, hey, will you please do this, or please, you're making a request and not making a command.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. And it doesn't highlight all the details, but I don't have to say anything to change my mind to agree with what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it seems like, Elijah was convinced of Elisha's dedication, loyalty, determination, durability, right? It's like, okay. And it says they went. And then also Elisha, what was Elisha trying to save him from by asking him not to go?
What was he trying to save Elijah from?
What was Elijah trying to save Elisha from when he asked Elisha not to go with him?
Not to go with him. Uh-huh.
Because he knew God was about to take him up.
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know.
Yeah. But and so in turn, he was like, okay, and this is a lot of assumption. Maybe he thought it would be more of a disappointment or a letdown or a discouragement. But Elisha said, this will be my honor.
Yeah.
To be with you in your final hour. So
KUC, One thing about these traits, it really tells you if you're discipling somebody, this is what you want to see in the dude.
That's exactly right.
I'll never forget Jim Downing saying to me, he said, "So you want to make disciples?" I said, "Yeah, I really do." And first words out of his mouth was, "Don't chase them." I said, "What?" He said, "Don't chase them." And I said, "Man, yeah, it's fine for you. You're an icon in navigator circles." He said, "I don't care who you are. You're going to waste your time if you start chasing people that are not looking to you to be discipled." So I think those traits are important for us, but they're also important for us as we begin to try to make disciples and disciple makers. That's what we're looking for.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
So in other words, you saying all disciples, well, I don't know all, but I reckon we all want to have the traits of Elisha, right? Well, no matter what, I'm going after the rabbi.
Yeah.
Right? No,
See,
no matter. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's always circumstances in life that tries to discourage, tries to come against our desire. There's going to be opposition against our dedication. There's going to be challenges for our devotion. There's going to be discouragement to our determination, right? And life itself is going to break us or try to break us to keep us from being durable. So we gotta push through. We gotta press on. Words of Judge Wayne, press on.
Press on.
Yeah.
But now, good stuff. So the point of this, men, is this is a passage we can use to share with a young disciple. You know, these are examples for them to study, to pick up on. All right, because Elisha is our model. All right, Elisha is our model. All right, so yeah. All right, any other thoughts before we continue?
Hey, Pace, do you think, is there any correlation with, we talk about like the purpose of with me time is to transfer knowledge, wisdom, and character. And ultimately, I guess when they crossed the Jordan and Elijah's taken up, it's really not, ultimately, it's not about the discipler, it's about connecting with God. So as I think about when like Moses passed the baton to Joshua across the Jordan, so God's purpose carries on, even though maybe individuals like in case of Moses and Joshua, Moses was gone. At some point, Moses was not with Joshua. At some point, Elijah's not with Elisha. At some point, Timothy's not with Paul. Ultimately, they want to connect with God.
Yeah. So that leaves the question is, what did God see? So God is sovereign. You know, this was his intent. Divine providence was God's intent for Elisha to learn from Elijah, just like his intent for us to be a disciple of another, right? But at what point did God see or say, like Jesus said in John 17? Anybody remember what Jesus said in John 17 about his disciples?
That they may be one with me as I am with the Father.
Yes. And there was something else. That oneness is important, yes. But he said something when he saw the oneness, when he recognized the oneness had happened for them or was happening for them. He said something in the beginning.
Did he say he's going to be leaving?
Let's read.
Okay.
Let's read.
John 17.
Let's read verse 1 through 5 for right now.
I'll grab it.
Go ahead.
Jesus spoke these things, and lifting up his eyes to heaven, he said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that the Son may glorify you, even as you gave him authority over all flesh, that to all whom you have given him, he may give eternal life. This is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I glorified you on the earth, having accomplished the work which you have given me to do. Now, Father, glorify me together with you, with the glory which I had with you before the world was.
All right. What stood out?
Stands out
Anything?
to me, eternal life is knowing God.
Yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's where I think Dawson Trotman got his life statement from, Brother Wayne. Anybody remember Dawson Trotman's life statement?
Born to reproduce.
Well, yeah, that's one of them, but he says to know him and to
And
make
to
him.
make him known. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is where I believe he got that from.
Yeah,
I
that's
hadn't seen
good.
any evidence of where he
I
got
don't
it,
know either.
but this is where I believe he got that from.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So our goal is to know him and to make him known, like Christ knew him and made him known. All right, but there's something else standing out here. Yes, that stands out. Very important. Thanks, Chris. Something else is there's an oddity here that we ain't paying attention to. Read verse 1 through 5 again.
Jesus spoke these things, and lifting up his eyes to heaven, he said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that the Son may glorify you, even as you gave him authority over all flesh, that to all whom you have given him, he may give eternal life. This is eternal life, that they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I glorify you on the earth, having accomplished the work which you have given me to do. Now, Father, glorify me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was.
I think that's
Okay.
it.
Kaiushi is what you're talking about, where he says, I have accomplished the work that you gave me to do. And this is before he had actually died on the cross.
Yes.
So, and the tense is completed.
Yes.
So you have to say, well, what was the work that he says he's already completed? And I think Jesus came primarily for two reasons. One, to die on the cross to pay for the sins of the world, and then to uh, do a work so that that truth could be communicated to the ends of the earth, to the end of time, and that was through the 12. And he says, or through the disciples. I think it definitely emphasized on the 12, but there were others. But that was what he had accomplished. The building to making of disciples who would make disciples who would make disciples to the ends of the earth.
Excellent. Yeah. Good stuff. Yes.
Is
Yes.
that it?
Yes. Exactly. Yes. Come on, Rob.
Okay, well, yeah, I want to pick up another thing I saw it because it talked about glory a lot. All 5 verses says,
Yeah.
I glorify you, and then it says, now give me the glory. So it's like Jesus set aside glory to come here, and now he's at a point where he's finished the work, and he says, now give me the glory back so I can glorify you as I'm being glorified. So it's kind of like there's a transfer of glory taking place, and he's getting back what he had at the beginning. So it was an interesting picture of his whole life there. I had glory with you. I set it aside. I did the work. And now let's go back to where we were.
Yes. All right. Good stuff. All right.
Well, that's good.
You know, K-User, as I'm looking at these verses, I can't help but to go back up to chapter 16. And when I read, but we talking about the whip me. Did you mind if I read these two verses right quick, K-User?
Please do.
It say chapter 16, verse 32. It say, behold, an hour is coming and has already come for you to be scattered, each to his own home, and leave me alone. And then he said, and yet I'm not alone, because the Father is with me. The Father is with me. He said, these things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace.
Mm.
In the world you have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world.
Mm.
And then he go on down to 17, and then he say, these things, what things? What I just spoke to you in the preceding chapter, you know, and that's another one of those with me thing. Jesus had courage, and he telling us to have courage because in the Great Commission, the last statement he said, "I'll be with you to the end of the age."
Mm.
So we can take courage as we go out and start to make disciples. Like it's, I don't know. That's everything seemed to be connecting to me.
That's good.
It's connected. It's connected. Good stuff. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. Good stuff. Come on, Travis. I see you.
I think in what stands out to me is verse 5
Okay.
in John 17. Me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was.
Well,
Oftentimes, I believe that we get used to, comfortable with, and it's like a mother or a father. And if they pass away, the sadness that you have, because you're going to miss being with them. You're just going to miss, like the gentleman was talking about his grandkids. You know, they love to spend time with you. And they, trying to glean everything that you have, they want it.
yeah.
And that's why Elisha didn't want to leave, because he had been walking with this man and he had gotten accustomed to being around him and gleaming what he had to say. And that's like a sponge. You soaking up everything you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what stood out to me.
Yeah.
Especially in verse 5.
Okay. No, good stuff. Good stuff.
Man, that's super.
No, excellent. This is my suggestion. So this is not fact. But I see two types of glory working here. All right. I see a glory that we're familiar with. When Christ was crucified, he was glorified. So I see a cross or a sacrificial type glory, right? Giving himself for the sins of the world. All right. Being glorified in that way. However, verse 4 is the oddity, because he goes in to say, I glorified you on the earth. Not will glorify, because the cross hadn't happened, but this particular glorified on the earth has been completed. And he affirms that with the next part, or he emphasizes what this or suggest what this type of glorified may mean. Having accomplished the work which you have given me to do. So there was a glory that was happening or preparing to happen with the finished work on the cross. But there was another glory in the earth that had happened, and it goes back to what Judge Wayne was saying. You know, is that investment.
Yeah.
Knowing that makes me wonder about Elisha and Elijah from God's perspective. God saw that Elijah had Elijah had accomplished something in Elisha. So it was okay for him to take Elijah from Elijah, because something had been accomplished.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
That's good. You
Hey,
know,
you see, just real quick, could you say like one was the glory of propitiation and the other was the glory of perpetuation?
Good stuff, Chris.
wow.
Send that to my phone in a text. All right.
Wow. You know, when I see this and hear this, all of this, it's kind of like as I study my Bible, I ask the question, well, what is it saying to me? Number one, and number two, what am I going to do about it? That's number two. There's such a model there in what Jesus did. Here he is, knowing he's about to leave this earth, and every one of us is going. Most of us probably will come to a point like that in our lives. And the question that I think we would I pray that we would be able to say, I've accomplished the work that you gave me to do.
Yes.
I'm leaving behind not land, not money, not any of that, but the thing I'm leaving behind is people who can make disciples.
That's right.
So
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so that's kind of where, as I think about something Soup did, I won't give much detail, but he did something with a few men, and he gave out this triplet or this chain or this link. Realize or the encouragement was, as a disciple, my goal is to be a disciple maker. And if I only accomplish being a disciple, the chain link is broken.
yeah.
Right. So I shouldn't just be satisfied with being a disciple. I got to look at God's ultimate goal and purpose of my being a disciple, and that's to be a disciple maker. Can't be a disciple maker until I'm discipling someone. And if I'm not discipling someone, at some point, the link is broken. And I look at that at the same way, is these examples with Joshua, with Elisha, right? They made sure that they weren't that broken link.
Yeah.
In the chain. So yeah. But we have to focus on making sure that work God gave us is accomplished as well.
Amen.
So yeah.
So K-Houston, and I agree with saying that the character traits of pursuing is that even in the face of death, these people did not care.
Yeah.
It seemed like if to me, if I was facing death for doing what I'm doing, right, I would say, hey, I ain't gonna get killed for this, right? But Elijah, the one that was following, it did not matter. It did not matter to him. It did not matter to Josh. It just didn't matter. Death wasn't even on their mind. So what if I die? And that's what Jesus said. I'm going to obey you to the death. To the death. I'm not afraid to die. Because some places that we go, some things that we do, we could actually get killed.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ said, I have overcome. So now that's the thing. We have death. It's like Paul was saying, for him to live is Christ, but for him to die, Paul has said, is to gain.
To gain.
Man, to gain, if I die, I'm gonna gain. You know, so being hungry for a couple of days, preaching this word don't mean nothing. Don't mean if I have to suffer to get this word out, it don't mean nothing. You know, it's just determination, like the 5 D's. I'll go back to that, right? But I reckon I could put down that number 6 there, but I will put that down for mine because that's a D. Okay. Sorry, Casey. I let you go.
Now, now we may add to those character traits. Those was just 5 that came out in our group discussion.
Okay.
Everybody commented those were 5 that we discussed, but it doesn't say that it will suggest that it ends there, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. Bill, did you have anything?
No.
I saw you earlier. Okay.
Well, can I throw one other thing out here? This may be a little bit off topic, but my daughter, who was a missionary in France for 11 years, she really encourages me along the line as far as spiritual stuff is concerned. And this does tie into this. She suggested a book that was really meaningful to her. And I said, sweetheart, I don't read thick books anymore. It got to be simple. And you know what the book was? Tramp for the Lord. Tramp for the Lord by Corey ten Boom. It's the sequel to The Hiding Place. And I just want to say it's not but a couple of 100 pages, and every chapter is probably 3 or 4 chapters. But man, when you talk about difficulties that she went through after she was released from German custody in the prison camp, and she goes around the world just like Soup is doing. That's exactly what she was doing. And that ties in so well with this that it cost her everything in essence. So it's a great read if you ever get a chance. Corey ten Boom, The Hiding Place. I think you'll find it very devotional, and it ties in really with what we're talking about.
You said Corey who?
Never heard of Corey ten Boom?
I have not.
Corre, capital TEN, and then Boone, Boone. She was put in a German prison camp in World War II. Should have died, didn't die. Her sister died, but I'm sure Bill knows. I guess those of our age group back in the '60s, she was really she was a well-known. Right, if you've not read The Hiding Place, so it's phenomenal stuff about the Nazis coming and getting them, and
Yeah, there was a movie made about it too, Wayne.
Which on The Hiding Place?
Yes.
Really? I'm sure I saw it back in the day.
Yeah.
Corey ten Boom.
Thanks. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right.
I only
So
mentioned that case because that's really what have been spending my time in reading outside the scripture for the last month or so. It's very touching. That's very touching.
excellent. Excellent. I'm gonna look into it. I got it down. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right. So we see Elisha modeling something for us that's essential in this process. All right. It's essential in this process. And then also we see Elisha, you mentioned this, I think Brother Will and somebody else is Elisha accomplishes the ultimate goal. You mentioned it also, Chris, is the connection with God. You know, he connected with Elijah. Elijah finished his investment in Elisha, and that investment accomplished God's goal in Elijah. And the ultimate goal was his connection with God. And that's something we're going to look at over the next few weeks, because we see in this with me time, the purpose of it and the goal of it is twofold. It's you know, this obtaining knowledge, wisdom, in character from this close proximity of being rubbed off into, but we see this ultimate unification with God happening, right? Getting us closer to God. You know, if I'm walking with someone and I'm not getting them closer to God, that's a different type of disciple making. It's not a Jesus standardized type. And we see Jesus accomplishing the same goal with his disciples, because we didn't read it, but if you read the rest of those chapters after verse 5, I mean the verses after verse 5, you'll see Jesus highlight the other goal of the oneness, you know, them being one as we were one, you know. So it's twofold, you know, but if we're not accomplishing this connection with God, what kind of disciple maker are we? Right? You know, what kind of disciple maker are we? So yeah. We can go back to 2 Kings. Let's pick back up on verse 7. All right. Pick back up on verse 7. Somebody read verse 7 through 15 for us.
Have you got that displayed up?
Yeah, that's Chris doing it for us, but yes.
Oh, okay. I don't see it on my screen.
You on a tablet or a phone?
I'm on a tablet.
Swipe left or right.
Thank you.
Right.
You're so good.
All right, let me go to chapter 2, verse 7. It say, now 50 men of the son of the prophet went and stood opposite them at a distance, while the two of them stood by the Jordan. Elisha took his mantle and folded together and struck the water, and they were divided here and there, so that the two of them crossed over on dry ground. When they had crossed over, Elisha asked Elisha asked Elisha, ask what I shall do for you before I am taken from you. And Elisha said, please let a double portion of your spirit be upon me. He said, you have asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if you see me when I am taken from you, it shall be so for you. But if not, it shall not be so. And as they was going along and talking, behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and the horses of of fire which separate the two of them. And Elisha went up by a whirlwind to heaven. Elisha saw it and cried out, my father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen. And he saw Elisha no more. Then he took hold of his own clothes and tore them into two pieces. He also took up the mantle of Elisha and fell from him, and returned and stood by the bank of the Jordan. He took the mantle of Elisha and fell from him. He took the mantle of Elisha that fell from him and struck the water and said, where is the Lord, the God of Elisha? And when he also had struck the water, there was divided here and there. And Elisha crossed over. Now when the sons of the prophet were at Jericho opposite him and saw him, they said, the spirit of Elisha rests on Elisha. And they came to meet him and bowed themselves to the ground before him.
Mm.
Wow.
A lot to take.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot
That's
to take.
amazing. That's
I never read that verse with that understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
A lot to take in. Lot happened. Lot happened. But none of this happens without desire, dedication, devotion, determination, and durability. None of it happens. None of it. So, yeah. All right.
You know what, Case? It also requires humility.
Yes.
Because you got to be saying, this dude, I have a need that this dude can make.
Yeah. You just created another challenge. What D word could we replace humility with? All right, because I wrote that as number 6, but nonetheless, we'll figure it out if somebody will. But yes, it requires humility. All right. Oh yeah.
That humility word, Pastor Casey, wasn't that the ingredient for wisdom?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was an assignment you gave us in another session. What was the key to gaining wisdom? And that key was humility.
Yes. Yes.
I just thought about that.
Oh no, yeah, good stuff. All right, thanks, Chris. Y'all see what's happening? We need to add number 6. Humility equals deference.
Since we add, and this word has just been jumping at me, driven. Just driven. You just somewhere in there.
Okay. I got it wrote down. I like it. We don't have to discover another word. We can just write it down. Yeah. All right, good stuff. But we see these qualities in Elisha. So we see things as a result of it. All right. And I've been revisiting this double portion deal, right? Like one is we see the affirmation of Elisha's desire, because as soon as Elijah had been separated and taken up and he cried, the first words Elisha says is, where is the Lord, the God of Elijah? So that lets us know his ultimate desire in that pursuit of his relationship. He wept, but his words was, oh, where's the Lord, the God of Elijah? Because I've been pursuing Elijah because I've been watching this relationship with God. Now he's gone. I need to have this in my life. God, where are you for me? right? And so in my mind, the mantle only showed or is a symbol here. I don't have the exact understanding of what this mantle is representing here. We'll ponder on that, but it's only symbolic, you know. Not going to go buy a mantle, put it up and say, you know, I'm pursuing somebody and I got the mantle, pass me the mantle. No, it's a symbol. It's a symbol, which is an American idiom we use today, right? Pass the torch, pass the mantle. Probably where we got that Americanized, you know, idiom from. But the ultimate goal in Elisha's desire is oneness with God. Oneness with God. So he pursued Elijah in hopes, and he was afraid. So the desire, determination, dedication, devotion, the durability, the dedication, the deference, and the drive, it was his desire and seeking oneness with God through Elijah. Elijah was his way or avenue to get to God, it appears. All right. And we see it happening. Now we see witnesses recognizing it, you know. In verse 15, it's a recognition of what happened to Elisha, because now the sons of the prophet saw Elisha and they recognized Elijah's spirit rest on him. They recognized that they had been with Jesus. Sounds familiar. All right. And they respected him for this. All right. And I think the recognition is seeing Elisha's oneness with God also. So ultimately, oneness with God becomes a goal. Oneness with God becomes a goal. All right. Let me see. Comments, questions, or thoughts?
Yeah, are you going to read on down to 18? Because it just hit me. He wound up not with all the a double portion, but he's having the same trouble with these guys that Elijah had with him. He says, verse 18, when they returned, he said, "Did I not tell you, do not go?" So, so the prophets disobeyed him just like he disobeyed Elijah.
Yeah, yeah. And so what is happening with them? They in turn develop Elisha's desire, dedication, devotion,
Yeah.
durability.
Hmm.
So yeah.
I tell you one thing too that strikes me that I ain't good at all that takes place right there. Man, he got in their face.
Yes.
And he didn't shy away from saying hard thing to him. Did I not tell you?
Yeah.
And I think Soup is good at that kind of thing. And, it's hard for me to do that, but it's necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
now, and that scenario is slightly different, right? Let's read. Read verse 16 through 18, somebody.
I'll read it. And they said to him, "Behold, now there are with you servants, 50 strong men. Please let them go and search for your master. Perhaps the Spirit of the Lord has taken him up and cast him on some mountain or into some valley." And he said, "You shall not sin." But when they urged him until he was ashamed, he said, "Sinned." They sent therefore 50 men, and they searched 3 days, but did not find him. And they returned to him while he was staying at Jericho, and he said to them, "Did I not say to you, do not go?"
All right. So now this discouragement from Elisha was him knowing that they would not find Elijah.
Mhm.
Like in that sense, I feel like Elisha knew, they would waste their time looking for Elijah.
Yeah.
Elisha knew God had taken him up. So yeah, and here their heart is revealed is like, okay, we're gonna go because maybe God put them on a mountain or a valley. So they're like, okay, maybe we'll find them here and there. Really discrediting the fact that he was with God. God had taken him up to be with him. So Elisha kind of knew that. So that's slightly different in some sense.
Yeah, it is.
But Judge, I saw your hum earlier, and I recognize it too. I wonder if this 3 days has any significance, huh? They searched 3 days, but did not find him. Don't know what that means, but I just think of, Jesus being in the tomb. So yeah, but maybe not.
Except
But
Jesus
Maybe
was
they
found
searched.
after 3 days.
Maybe they searched 3 days and then they realized he was really gone up to heaven.
yeah. Yeah.
He really rose.
Yeah. 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 So yeah. Yeah. But now good stuff, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Nonetheless, I do see, and we see the example that you see the 3 generations. You see Elijah, Elisha, and then the sons of the prophet. So we do see the sons of the prophets being invested in from Elisha, the way Elijah invested in Elisha, as we continue to read, because they begin to spend time with Elisha. And the reason being is because, come on. Who was that? Somebody got a comment? Oh, well, okay. Because they recognize, as it says, they I think this bowed themselves to the ground before him, may be symbolic as a devoted dedication and connection, or watch this, of clinging to Elisha, the way Elisha clinged to Elijah. So maybe that's significant in that. But we see a lot of examples happen. We see a lot of things being modeled that's transferable. All right. I want to talk about one aspect of this, and I'm gonna go back just briefly to this double portion. All right, we talked about it briefly. What does this idiom mean again? Somebody, we looked it up last week, but we recognized it or talked about it.
Double portion.
Anybody remember?
So I think what I recall from what we talked about last week, Casey, was that it was like the inheritance, like the firstborn, like wanting to have kind of the inheritance of the role of being kind of that prophet of God.
Okay. Yes. So when the son receives the father's inheritance as the firstborn, what else does that son gain from the father?
The firstborn gets a double portion more than the brothers.
Yeah. And besides the physical double portion of stuff, what else does the firstborn usually get? What does that recognize? What does it recognize to everybody else about the firstborn as well?
That the firstborn is the leader or the spokesman,
Yes.
has the authority.
Yes. Very important. See, we leave that out, but that's what's happening here, right? We see that the sons of the prophet acknowledged it in verse 15, but also we see it. So one is they recognize sonship, they recognize unity, they recognize connection, they recognize oneness. All right. The other piece of it is they recognize leadership. You know, they embraced it. It gives everybody else a chance to embrace the new leadership. All right. So that's what the son, the firstborn son, he not only gets a double portion of the stuff, but now he's the family's new leader. They lived in a patriotic society then. So that was a bigger deal for them than it is to us. Right? A lot came along with that. And what usually precedes leadership? The part of leadership we don't like.
Responsibility.
Training.
Yes. Responsibility. The training comes, but the responsibility. You can't get leadership without inheriting responsibility. So now the responsibility, which in this leadership, the responsibility and the succession is passed alongside. And that's what that double portion recognized. That's what Elisha was asking for. I accept the responsibility. That's what I hear him saying in that. Is I accept the responsibility of leading the way Elijah led. But he recognized that only happened with oneness in God. So that's the part that's important. All right. It's leadership, responsibility, all right, in succession. So we want to think about that. All right. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions? All right. So yeah. All right. Now, so we see in this desire, dedication, devotedness, determination, durability, humility, and deference, as well as being driven, or this drive, there's unity that was accomplished. And there's a model in all of this as well. All right. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10. We're going to look at verse 20. Some of y'all know where I'm going. We're going to extend out. And I got to slide out again about 6:45. So let me give some assignments. How about that? We're going to read Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20. Somebody read it for us.
Verse 10.
No, sorry, chapter 10, verse 20.
20. You shall fear the Lord your God, you shall serve him and hold fast to him, and by his name you shall swear.
Whose words are these?
Moses.
Moses. All right. So we'll travel back to Joshua in a moment, but you know, I hear or I see this model with Elijah and Elisha, without us seeing the words, I see these things happening. So read verse 20 again. There are 4 commands in this verse.
It says,
Swear by his name.
Command.
you want me to read again?
So the first one is to swear by his name. You shall. Well, let's go back. The first one is you shall fear the Lord. Yeah, read verse 20 again.
You shall fear the Lord your God. You shall serve him and hold fast to him, and by his name you shall swear.
Let's write those 4 down. Fear, serve, hold fast, swear. Fear, serve, hold fast, swear. All right. Let's write those down. Those are present progressive with a climax inside of it. And then we'll get a cliffhanger. All right. I'm trying to find my other verses for the homework assignment. All right. So just think about this. All right. We fear, serve, hold fast, swear by his name. All right. The homework assignment is, where do I see Elisha dedicating himself to those 4? Reading back through what we read or notice about Elisha and Elijah's relationship, where do I see Elisha obeying those 4 commands? All right. We won't point them out today. We'll point them out next week. All right. So that's homework assignment number 1. Now, where do I see Elisha obeying those? All right. And do I see Elijah modeling those? All right. So that's homework assignment number 1. Homework assignment number 2, write these scriptures down. How do these other 3 scriptures, or in what way do these 3 scriptures connect to Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20? Let's write down Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 4. Deuteronomy chapter 11, verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 4. And Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 20. Another way to say that again.
And what are we doing with those?
Yeah. In what ways do these have in common with Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20? What do they have in common with Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 20? All right. All right. Makes sense? Everybody got it?
Casey, can you repeat that last Deuteronomy verse reference?
30 and 20. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 20. And if somebody will, let's put this in the group meet chat as well. In our group meet chat as well. Y'all know Jeff loves some homework, so we want to make sure he gets this. All right. Man, I got to slide out of here today. Appreciate you guys. Looking forward to the next time, but I always enjoy this time. Love y'all. Y'all be blessed.
Okay. Whenever you get a chance about whatever we talked about earlier.
Yeah, I will. I'll give you a call.
All right.
All right.
Okay. All right.